Have you ever played those phone games where you like escape from the room and stuff? Well, yeah, there are actually now escape rooms that are around in my area, and I went to one, and it was fun. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So where to start? Well, for a while now, we had been planning to actually go to an escape room ever since we found out about it. And initially, when we got there, we were like kind of confused on where we were going, and like people got like upset. And well, because we said my dad said we were gonna go out because we hadn't been out of the house in a while because I don't go out much. But he said we were gonna go out and do stuff as like a family and whatnot. And originally we wanted to go to the beach, but I suggested, hey, why not? Since we're going out anyway, why not go to the escape room that we've always wanted to go? And they were like, sure. So we went there, and it was kind of a thing where you had to reserve the room, which was a little bit upsetting because, uh, yeah, but I could see that it was kind of busy at that point. So we scheduled a room. We even got a private room because we had my little brother who was under a certain age, and we had to reserve a room for ourselves. So yeah, and a few hours go by, we get some lunch or something, and we go into the room. So how it works is that you initially get put in the room, and you're supposed to be solving the puzzles to try and get out of the room. Hence the point. And you're normally given an hour, but we took a little bit longer because we're a little bit dumb and we didn't look through everything that they. Yeah. So we also had a radio that we could radio help for. To me, it kind of felt like I was in one of those what was it, like reality show segments. Like I remember that there was this game show where they would pit two teams against each other, where they were like where you had to go and escape the room via like doing all this stuff, and it would be like a money prize. So yeah, we went in and we basically went out, and so we basically were locked in the room. And what happened was is that we initially asked, "What are we doing here?" And she said, "Oh well, this is just a closet that I'm going to be locking you in for the time being." And then as soon as she locked the door, we waited around for like a few minutes, for like a minute or two, and we're like, and eventually someone I think said out loud, "Are we starting?" I don't really remember if it was me or if it was someone else, but my dad then pulled the rope, and all these tennis balls fell out. And yeah, we eventually started solving the puzzles, and it was really cool. Some of the puzzles were like fairly straightforward, like the tennis ball one. We had to search through the tennis balls and figure out like a secret word to unlock one of the things. And we had to do this thing and that thing. And one of the things that I noticed initially was there was like a chain on the ground, and you had to unlock that later for stuff because of reasons. And I also noticed like this color coded lock on there as well. Those will come into play later. So about like I don't know, 5-10 minutes go by. We're in the middle of something, and then we just hear a loud ka-chunk, and we all look over at one of the doors, which was like this sliding door that initially was locked. We tried to open it before, it just wouldn't open, and so then there was just this big like kalunk or whatever it is. It's like this big thing, this loud noise and this silence, and the door was open. All of us really kind of questioned this, and when we opened the door, it led to another room. So we're like, oh, well, what the heck was the point? Did we trigger something, or was it just? Uh, my theory was is that it was actually on a time lock, which meant that when the room started, as soon as the clock hit a certain time, it would open. So yeah, some of the puzzles were actually really cool and fairly interesting, and a little bit straightforward. Where we had to find like where we had to look up certain things, and it took a bit, and we used up one of our clues to just say look around and underneath stuff, to where we completely overlooked a couple key features that later came up in unlocking the door. So yeah. So we eventually got some of the locks undone, and one of my favorite things is that we were looking is that I went back to the first room that we were in, and my mom was looking at this other like schematic of a room there was a ruler, and she turned it over and showed me these little notches, and these notches had sort of paint on them. And I realized that that paint correlated with the paint, correlated with the colors of another lock in that same room. And so we're looking through it, and we figure out the code, and I look at it, and I'm like, why isn't this working? Because it wouldn't work, it wouldn't unlock, and it wouldn't open. So then I think, and I'm like, well, the ruler has two sides to it. So what if we're reading the wrong side? So then I tell her to read the other side, and surely enough, after I get all the numbers, click, yes. That was like one of the more interesting things that we did. And we literally passed over some very key details uh, uh, as we went on. And then finally we get to the door. This door was the first door that we saw that went into the other one, which used like an old key to unlock it. So we then went in with the old key, and I held the key first because I was the first to get there, and I picked it up, and it was attached to like this chain or whatever. But we went, and I went to put the key in, and then I handed it to my dad, because even though it probably wasn't scary, I wasn't risking it for fear of jump scares, because yeah. So yeah, we went into another, and so we went, and we're like, is that it? Is that everything? And then it's like, oh no, it's another room. Yeah. So we went through that whole thing, and we were rewarded with another room. And so I think the last few puzzles that I really wanted to mention was the very last puzzle where we opened up like this blue drawer and found like a whole load of stuff because we didn't know what we were doing. Again, we just, yeah. And I think one of the more interesting ones was when we got the key, and it was, you had to yell through a thing and say left, right on this maze because the one person couldn't see it. They dropped the key down, and I felt like at that point I was unlocking the missiles, like the buttons to like the missiles, like that we were gonna launch nukes at wherever. And so then we were like sitting there and wondering what's happening, and I look in the drawer that I opened earlier, and I find a note, and I'm looking at the note, and I read it aloud to everyone. It says, "Hold all the buttons, and we can escape back to the present time." And I'm like, huh. So of course, what we do, of course, follow the instruction, put all the button, and again, there's another loud ka-chunk, and this compartment opens up, and we get a key, and that key leads outside. And surely enough, I opened the door, and it was the outside, and we were greeted with a yay from the person who we talked to actually schedule this. So yeah, that was the full extent of it. It was pretty fun, actually. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I guess that's what I'm gonna do it for this video. I don't really know where else to end this. I mean, escape room is fun. I'd love to do it again. That'd be so cool. Like, you just go and you escape from the room with all these people. It's like, yeah. We tried to schedule it again with some other people, with some of my friends, but those ideas kind of fell through because of, well, poor planning, and they just didn't want to do it. So we went bowling instead. Yay! And I also beat my dad twice in bowling. So yeah, it was fun.